they are underqualified to have children. They should have their children taken away from them because it's child abuse. Our society has become increasingly disgusting. I spoke about this last week. And when you start to see that your government is sponsoring that, when they're putting real dollars behind things like drag queen story hour in New York City, you should realize that something nefarious is going on, because the government does not care about your children. No, the government does not love your children. The government does not want your children to be accepted. The government wants your children to be enslaved to government for the rest of their life. And right now, as we're seeing, there is a marriage between government and big pharma. It is my belief that that is the push behind this effort to tell children that they can pick their gender and to confuse them. I believe our government is actually sponsoring mental illness.
It never ceases to blow my mind how the right wing in this country is so hyper focused on minority populations of the country, and they make it out to like, these groups of people are such a threat. A threat to what, Candace? And it's like she points out, like, the government's in bed with big pharma. Yes, that's true. But what's her reasoning? So that little kids can have access to hormones so that they can have their gender changed. And it's like, Candace, big pharma's in bed with government for things that make much more money than that. Just price gouging for medication and pharmaceuticals in general. How we pay, many, many times more for our medication than other countries do, just because of the way our laws are set up. How the government can't negotiate with big pharma, how we can't even get a public option passed. Things like that make far larger quantities of money than children having access to hormone changes. And again, you got to think, like, what they're going to have to pay for that still. Like, we don't live under a Medicare for all system, so it's like they play it and they spin it as if your tax dollars are going to be going towards this, but our health insurance system is a mess. So it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Said this over and over again, right? Because people that are mentally ill cannot stand up on their own 2 feet, right? They become codependent with the government. They turn to the government for their hormone pills. They turn to the government for whatever pills that they can to make it feel better, right? And you are seeing right now that adults are getting behind this narrative so that they can have a woke t-shirt on and say, I love my children. I allowed my child to pick their gender and pick their species.
And then again, it's like they're hyper focused on, these drag shows, but it's like, how many people, among the hundreds of millions of people that exist in this country even have just quick, easy, open access to drag shows if you're not in a huge metropolitan area or something like that? It's not, again, this is a minority group of the country. So it's like, even if these parents are bringing their children to this drag show, it's like they should have their kids taken away from them for taking them once or twice, and given to who, Candace? Because also in line with the ideology of the right in this country, you all don't support government programs. You were just bashing the fact that, people can turn to the government at all when they need help. So the fact that you just said that they should have their children taken away from them indicates a program that's going to have to be supported by tax dollars, which you theoretically are against. So you're just talking out of your what.
And they feel proud of themselves because they can go and they can say this on Facebook that they're a wonderful, accepting, and loving adult, when in reality, they are underqualified to have children. They should have their children taken away from them because it's child abuse. It is child abuse to put a half-naked adult in the room with a small child and having them read a book. It's just child abuse.
Because again, instead of focusing on the real issues in this country, like just the economy at large, like literally everything about it, our access to the kinds of jobs we have, how our education system doesn't prepare us for the modern work world, how we have a healthcare system that people go bankrupt under. People will pull up to the emergency room and not take their kids inside because they know what type of bill they could be slapped with. They're not talking about fixing any of these issues. Instead, they're hyper focusing on minority groups of the country who pose no threat to anybody, let alone the establishment at large. And then again, it's like, we should take their children away. Like, that's an extreme position. While you sit here and talk about, authoritarianism, which ironically is far more on your side, which too. Authoritarianism on the left, we should take your kids away from you. Like, but That's what we're dealing with. And unfortunately, the Democrats are not a real resistance party. So we have to be the resistance. We have to get better candidates voted in, and we have to be the ones who hold the line and make the difference.